MSFocus, the Multiple Sclerosis Foundation presents a conversation about multiple sclerosis.
Monkey Snot.
Dr. Darby Haynes Lawrence, PhD, Nia Sult, Dr. Adam West, PhD, Western Kentucky University, with contributions by Samantha Jo Lawrence, illustrated by Nia Sult. This book was developed with assistance from the Western Kentucky University Faculty Undergraduate Student Engagement Grant, published by the Multiple Sclerosis Foundation. Hi, kids. We're so happy you are reading this book. We hope you find it funny and informative. You might want to grab some paper and a pencil in case you want to jot down a thought or a question for Mom or Dad. You might even get inspired to write down or draw your experiences with MS. We hope you enjoy this book. It was created just for you.
Hi, my name is Sammy. I'm here to tell you about multiple sclerosis. I call it MS because multiple sclerosis is kind of hard to say. You're probably reading this book because your mom or dad was diagnosed with MS. I bet you have a lot of questions. My mom was diagnosed when I was 4. I'm 10 now, so I'm sort of a pro at this disease. Mom and I are here to help explain it to you. Remember, if you have questions, ask your parents. I ask my mom questions all the time.
First, we should answer the question, what is MS?
In health class, I learned that MS means my mom's nerves don't work right. All of your nerves have a covering on them, but MS eats the covering. Everyone is different, but MS makes my mom a lot more tired than a mom who doesn't have MS. She also loses her balance and has trouble thinking of words sometimes. Did I get that right, Mom?
That was pretty good, Sam. Our nerves are covered with a myelin sheath. MS destroys parts of that sheath. This makes scars called lesions. Think of the nerves as roads in our bodies. The scars are like potholes in the road. When our brain sends messages or signals over these roads or nerves, they can be interrupted. A lot like when a car hits a pothole in a road, the car and everything in it wiggles a bit. Our bodies don't wiggle when the signal bumps into those scars, but the scar can mix up the signal. Or it might just slow it down instead of getting a message to where it needs to go quickly and smoothly.
According to MSFocus, multiple sclerosis is a chronic neurological disorder that affects the central nervous system comprised of the brain and spinal cord.
Which parts of the body are affected depends on which nerves are scarred by MS. I lose my balance because I have a scar or pothole in the area of my brain that controls balance. Some people with MS have trouble walking because they have scarred nerves in their spine. That's where the message needs to go when the brain tells the legs to move.
Based on that explanation, it makes more sense to call MS many speed bumps.
Well, that would be easier to understand.
It makes me laugh to think of the funny names the letters MS stand for. Check out my list. Mostly sneezes, monkey snot, mucus slugs, monster swords, magpie stamps, mystery shakes, mini scavengers, mint scuttlebutt, melodic scissors, mitten sacks.
Good one, Sam. I like monkey snot. Gross!
What are some things you think MS stands for?
I am very careful as a parent to make sure that MS does not define who I am as a person or as a parent, determine what I can do or who I can be, decide my future. We are not this disease.
A relapse is when the symptoms of MS flare up suddenly. How long it lasts and how often it happens is different from person to person, as are the type of symptoms.
When my mom was diagnosed, I got scared. She was tired all the time. Seemed like she slept a lot too. She had trouble walking for a little while. Dad had to really help her, and it scared me. I didn't know it, but at that time she was going through a relapse. Once the relapse passed, she was a lot better. Did this happen to your mom or dad? What do you remember?
A neurologist is a doctor who diagnoses and treats problems with the brain, spine, and nerves.
A special doctor called a neurologist diagnosed what mom was going through as MS. To diagnose means to figure out what is wrong. Dad and I went with her to doctor's appointments. Some of these appointments included taking pictures of her brain. They use this big machine called an MRI. MRIs are like X-rays, except X-rays take pictures of bones, and MRIs take pictures of soft tissue. I used to give MRIs to my bears on the kitchen table.
Sammy, do you remember how going to those appointments made you feel?
Well, even though you told me it was all going to be okay, I felt scared. It made me feel better that you would always tell me what was going on, and I knew I could always ask you questions. I remember wondering what the MRI would do, and you said it looked at your brain. Remember how I guessed what color your brain would be?
I do.
I guessed it would be pink. Dad said blue.
And I said pink with purple polka dots.
And the pictures were plain old gray. How boring.
What's it like for you now when you go see the neurologist with me, Sammy?
Oh, I like him a lot. I'm still too shy to read my questions to him, but I'm glad you write them down and ask him for me. I also like to wait with Nanny and Pawpaw in the waiting room sometimes, or stay at Lexi's house and play.
So it sounds like my doctor visits aren't as scary as they once were for you. But what about my MS, Sammy? How do you feel about it?
Well, sometimes I'm scared. When you have trouble walking, it makes me nervous, and I worry. When you had to get the wheelchair, I felt embarrassed. Even though having the wheelchair meant we could go more places together, I dreaded being out in public with it. But then you got better and started using your cane instead. And now you don't even have to use your cane. I wonder if you are ever going to have to use the wheelchair again.
I understand your feelings about the wheelchair. Not every person with MS will use a wheelchair, and those that do might need it only sometimes. But think about how much freedom it gives them. Instead of being stuck at home, they can go to the grocery store, go shopping at the mall, or see some friends. Right now, I only use the wheelchair when we go to places that require a lot of walking, like the zoo. We love the zoo.
Sure, but you can walk now. So why do you still need the wheelchair sometimes?
You are right. I can walk, but not well and not far. The wheelchair keeps me from getting tired or fatigued so quickly. Saving that energy means I get to do more fun things with you.
Fatigue is very common in a person with MS. It can come on suddenly, every day, or just occasionally. It can occur regardless of a good night's sleep and often worsens as the day goes on. It can interfere with daily responsibilities and is more severe than a normal tiredness in a healthy person.
Does your mom or dad ever use equipment to help them get around?
When something is contagious, that means it can be passed from one person to another.
One of my friends asked me if she can get MS. Can I catch MS from you?
A friend of mine asked me that same thing when I was diagnosed. I felt so embarrassed. But no, you can't catch MS like you catch a softball. Trust me, if MS had been pitched to me, I would have thrown down my catcher's mitt and ran the other way as fast as I could. MS is not contagious like a cold or the flu. You and your friends can't catch it. It is a really good question, though, Sammy. In fact, it was probably one of the first questions doctors asked when the disease was discovered. Luckily, they've been able to rule out the possibility of it being contagious. However, doctors are not sure how MS develops. That is why research on the disease is so important.
Yes, indeed. Research is important. I'm going to research the disease to help. Wait, what exactly do you mean when you say research?
I love your enthusiasm, my little researcher. Research is the investigation of something. For an illness like MS, researchers look for the cause of MS so one day it can be cured or even prevented. Other researchers explore medications that make us feel better. In other words, researchers question things and then try to find the answers. It all begins with questions. That is why I always encourage you to ask away, because questions are so very important.
Aw, man, I want to research right now. I could help.
Well, technically, every time you ask questions and record answers in your journal, you are researching. Besides, you already help every day. You have important jobs that help me and the whole family, and they're just your size.
What are some questions that you or your friends have about MS? That's right. I do have some pretty awesome jobs. I'm in charge of keeping us all safe, like clearing pathways and picking up all my stuff so no one trips. Sometimes I help fold and put away clothes that Dad washes. I've also become really good at writing our grocery lists. And I love when I get to push the cart down the aisles. Oh, and I take turns with Dad setting and clearing the kitchen table. But I think my mom's favorite thing I do is help Dad push in the chairs after our meals. What kind of jobs do you have that help your family in their daily lives?
Sam, you shared some great examples of how much you help our family. I appreciate each and every one of your jobs, especially pushing in chairs. But my favorite thing you do is play. That's what is so great about everyone pitching in. It means more time spent together, having fun.
We do play. Wait a minute, Mom. That's not going to change, is it? You'll still be able to play with me, won't you?
Of course I will still be able to play with you, Sammy. That hasn't changed and it won't change. What we play does change from time to time, just like your interests and skills change as you grow older. Look at all the fun things we do now. I'm not able to run around very well, but I always watch while you play outside and when you roller skate. We go swimming. And when it is too hot to be outside, we play cards, board games, and chess. We also paint and make some fun stuff together, like this book.
Ooh. I started to get nervous thinking you might not be able to play with me. Thanks for clearing that up. I always feel better after we talk, even if you're telling me things you've already said 100 times before. I just need to make sure that things are okay.
Yes, talking about MS, especially your feelings and fears about it, can really help make you feel better and not so scared. And I know you will have more questions as you get older. You can ask me questions anytime.
I hope the readers of this book feel better about MS, now that we've shed a little light on what MS is.
And what it is not.
MS can be scary, but the good news is we have help.
That's right, Sammy. There is help. Through our doctors and special organizations for people with MS, families like ours can get the tools we need to help us continue living happy and fun lives.
Like a wrench or hammer?
Haha, more like a compass.
Like our special talks, Mom. They don't always fix everything, but when I get bent out of shape over MS, they do help straighten out my concerns. My most useful tools are my pen and question journal. Do you want to know my most valuable resource?
Tell us, Sammy. What is it?
You mean, who is it? It's you, Mom. You shrink MS, mostly scary at first, down to a manageable size.
I love you, Jinx!
You'll have to excuse Sammy and her mom. They are currently serving a 5-minute sentence of silence ordered by the Code of the Jinx. So I guess it's up to me to sign off and say goodbye for them.
A conversation about multiple sclerosis.
Monkey Snot.
Brought to you by MSFocus, the Multiple Sclerosis Foundation.